Welcome to Level Up TV with me, Distribute and Vor. And you can hear me this time, I'm presuming.
Yes, we can,
Good,
unfortunately.
good test. And yeah, I totally agree. This show would be better with Deuce, but he's actually a little bit shy. And
He's now
knows,
gone for a week.
yeah, he's well. There you go. Too busy playing poker, as we could probably hear beforehand. Now I got a very sparse sort of studio, I guess you'd call it. Um, Kind of looking to put something in the background of maybe some interest. Uh, Give me your ideas, maybe. We'll see. But hey, at least there is some space to put something rather than like just a wall with a window and a radiator.
You can sell advertising space on that wall.
I could do. I could. I'd probably need to smarten up though. Wear a bit of a suit or something like that. Anyway, so we are here for the EuroCup 26 match week 1 kind of preview show, I guess, of the matches upcoming. So without further ado, let's just get on with it, shall we, Vor?
May as well.
So let's just go on the site. This is how we're going to preview it, I guess, because it's not like we can show some Quake. Well, actually, we could have done, couldn't we? Thinking about it, that's really good planning. But anyway, first week, the groups weren't announced in our preview show, but they are announced now. And let's just have a look at those groups then for each. Oh, damn! I clicked on the wrong thing. Each group. We got Group A: Mammoth, Plan B, Play, Sito, Unknown, and Sky. And then Group B: 102, Action, CZE, GC, Low, and LE. Anything standing out there for you then, Vor? Let's start with Group A. Let's discuss that first. You got a strong team like Unknown in it, Sito, last year's finalists. What's standing out for you, Vor?
Well, obviously you've got the competition favourites, maybe in a lot of people's minds, Unknown. So obviously, we expect Unknown to make it through their group based on what we can see now. And then Sito. I've heard that they're not practicing much, but based on past performances, certainly you would expect Sito to be favourites to go through that group with Unknown. They are the two standout teams in that group based on previous competitions, but there could be some upsets on the cards if, as apparently I've heard, Sito aren't practicing that much.
From each group, 3 teams can qualify, so potentially those two would be the favourites to go through, Unknown just on their sheer roster and skill level, and then obviously Sito, again, they do have skillful players, but second place in the last cup. So who's going to be probably the third team most likely to go through in that group, do you think?
Well, it's going to be an interesting fight, I think, between Play and Plan B. That's where I see, the third qualification spot going, either one of those teams. But, that's not to say that, perhaps both those teams could qualify at the expense of, say, Sito, or even perhaps, maybe unlikely, but also Unknown. You never know what can happen. But, I expected to see Unknown, Sito, and then one of Play or Plan B go through.
Yeah. I mean, this group to me looks a little more likely. Quake TDM is such a competitive scene. There's no guarantee of anything. But let's just go into Group B then, which, by the looks of things, straight away, Vor, to me, looks like it could be a lot closer.
Yeah, I think this group looks more competitive for sure. I mean, we have the standout team again being Deliberate Murder, 102. They're the obvious favourites to go through, and many people's pick, I would imagine, to go as far as the finals or even win the competition. So it would be an absolute disaster for them if they were to not make it through the group. But apart from that, I think things are looking very even.
Yeah, I mean, you've got Action, CZE, GC, Low, LE, the qualifiers, LE and Low, but I mean, Low's got a strong roster lineup there, so
Yeah, their team is impressive. I mean, if they gel together, they can be a competitor to certainly get out the groups, but maybe even do something in the knockouts. I mean, Action, you'd say based on past performances, they've always been a strong team, and when they're playing with their best lineup, then they would expect, I'm sure, to get out of this group probably in second or first place potentially, depending on how well they perform.
just from the chat, NSX highlighting 2 big names that were regulars in the EuroCup missing this season. Four Kings, of course, multiple times champions until in fact last season, and Zenatorium. So I mean, what's happened to them?
Well, they've gone, haven't they? They are no longer teams that are competing. Their players have been either absorbed into other teams or are just not active anymore.
It's the kind of thing that does just happen over time. But somebody of Four Kings quality is it's kind of surprising, really. I mean, how successful they were, and then suddenly just to drop off the rails
Well, it's a
and
shame.
just disappear. Yeah.
They've been a permanent fixture in all the online competitions. They've always had such strong showings, and they've provided us great games to watch over the last couple of years now, few years even. So it is a shame not to see them anymore. But we still see some of their players are playing in other teams now, so they're no longer together as a team. But both Zenitorium and Four Kings, they'll live on with players playing in other teams, still providing us good games.
Yeah. Right. So I mean, in terms of the groups, yeah, it's all to play for at the moment. We don't really know it any better than anybody else. We can just have our basic predictions, and of course, if you want to look at what our full, like, more detailed predictions, I guess we did a show last week, was it, something like that? That's on our YouTube channel, so you can go and check that out anytime. But the main thing we want to discuss then, I guess, is this first week of games. We do have the full list of games up here. The first of which is actually tomorrow, so we'll be covering that. Action, Legan versus Lowfly. This is a Group B match, so the more competitive group, as we were discussing earlier. Two Swedish representatives, you could say, I guess.
Not
That's
really.
on tomorrow at 21 CEST, so not really, Vor.
No, because I would expect there's only going to be one Swedish player playing, or potentially only one. So,
Interesting. Of course, yeah, Action's lineups changed quite significantly over the last year or so. Used to be traditionally pretty Swedish-based lineup. Yeah, I could see a couple of Swedes playing maybe for each team. Seen the lineups there on the screen, but
what I've predicted, but just based on recent lineups of practices and matches and things, there's only going to be one Swedish player playing. So, we'll see.
what are your predicted lineups then?
Well, the expected lineups for me, for Action, the last time they practiced, they had Dash, Guda, ZLC, and Nightops. ZLC and Nightops, obviously, we saw them playing with Action in the last few competitions they've entered, and obviously they're two of the stronger players in the Danish lineup as well. So, very strong members of that team. Dash was playing with Action as well, wasn't he?
Yeah.
In previous competitions, yeah, and Guda, who's obviously a recent pickup as well. That's the lineup they used in practice recently, so that's the lineup I expect them to play with. But we know that they have a deep roster that they can call on other good players if that isn't going to be the team they play with. And for Lowfly, it will probably be the same team we saw in their qualifier against Skills, which was Funny Bee, Silent Set, FRS, and Triple Sex.
Okay, so who are going to be your standout players from those 8 for each team? I mean,
Well,
you'd instantly say, for example, in previous seasons, Silensep, incredible player for Lowfly, but in the qualifier match, although he did get some good scores, he was kind of eliminated from the game on, I can't remember which map it was, but he really didn't have much of an impact that we used to
well, he didn't
see.
have a great game on Hidden Fortress, and they actually did end up losing Hidden Fortress, so...
Yeah, so, but, I mean, if ZLC is playing, he'll be my one to watch out for Action. But as I say, but these are just guesses about what they most likely will play.
Actually, I'd
But
say he didn't have a good game. I remember he didn't have a good start, but actually he did end up having a good game.
no, he had a good net because he was playing the yellow LG area. No, I think it was the third map or the second map. I can't remember. Anyway, so yeah, who's going to be your favourites then out of that two?
Well, on paper, I think Action, they've got more experience, I think, as a team. They've added Guda to their lineup, but the other three are used to playing with each other. So, they've got a strong, team cohesion. Lowfly, they're a relatively new team, and I'm sure they've played together as much as they've been able to, but, Action, they've got more experience on their side playing together, which I think is an important factor. But Low Fly have a lot of talent in the lineup. Particularly Funny Bee and Silent Set. They are very dynamic players who can really make a lot of good things happen in game for their team. They're strong game-winning players, and then you've got FRS, who's got an incredible amount of experience. As much as anyone at the moment in the Quake Live TDM scene. So he's a vital player, along with Triple Six as well, who was a strong player for skills in recent seasons. So as much as they haven't necessarily played together for as long as a team like Action have, they have a very solid lineup.
Yeah, and talking about the groups early, I mean, how tight this group could be. You've got match week 1. This could be a very significant match already, couldn't it?
Yeah, I think this will have huge impact on the qualification for the next round. I mean, this is a real chance for both of these teams to make a real statement in game 1. I mean, Action, as we've said earlier, are possibly expected to qualify, but I don't think they can look at this as being a particularly easy game. And if they're not at their best, then we could see an upset from Low Fly, and it would be a disaster in some ways if Action were to lose this, because it would probably take away any chance they have at winning the group if they were to lose this game. And I do see them as potential group winners. But if they lose this, then I think they lose that chance. And it could damage their hopes for qualification, potentially. You never know. Because if they lose this, that means Low Fly are already ahead of them. And if Low Fly are able to beat Action, then they'd certainly see themselves being able to qualify, I think. They'd certainly pick up enough points from their other games to take one of those qualification slots. So it will be a very important game.
So the other games in week 1, Group A games, Sky versus Unknown, that's on Wednesday. Lemmings Effect versus Gentleman Club is also on Wednesday. They kind of do clash. But so we will be covering Action versus Low, the first game. That'll be tomorrow. Wednesday we might have to pick between the two unless they're able to split apart the two games a little bit more. But which would be your standout game of those two?
Well, for 2 games on Wednesday, we've got Sky versus Unknown and Lemmings Effect versus Gentleman Club. Sure, you might get to see some star players in Unknown's game, but I really think the better game will be Lemmings Effect versus Gentleman Club. That will probably be the closer game and the far more interesting one, if I'm honest.
Well, hopefully we get to cover both. Then we go on to, Sunday. We've got Play versus Sito and the Czech team versus Deliberate Murder, who are the reigning champions, of course. And again, those two do clash. So if we had to pick one?
Well, between those 2 games, I think definitely Play versus Sito. Once again, I mean, for Group A, Play versus Sito will be a huge game for similar reasons to, Action versus Low Fly. You have probably the favourites in that game, Sito, but depending on how well they're practiced, then Play could certainly, I'd say it's an upset. It kind of is, but they could certainly beat Sito, and it would be viewed as an upset probably. And that could have huge impact on, the standings in that group.
And then we go on to the final match of match week 1, Mammoth versus Plan B. That'll be on the Monday, so in 7 days' time. You can see all the times on the Clanbase webpage if you want to check, and we'll be posting if we'll be covering these games or not. I would hope to cover as many games as possible, but sometimes they get rearranged and sometimes they clash, as we can see on the Sunday one, so we have to make a choice. So either way, though, you can keep track of when the games are on the Clanbase site, you would imagine, or by following us on Twitter or Facebook. Mammoth versus Plan B. Who do you think out of that?
Well, I think Plan B are a real contender for qualification in Group A. I've been impressed by their play from what we've seen, especially in the qualifier, where they looked incredibly strong and they took down Team Evo, who were up there with Plan B in the previous Open Cup. But it looks to me that Plan B have really pushed ahead and improved a lot more, and they took that qualifier 2-0 pretty easily. So they could be one to watch out for in this EuroCup.
I'm looking forward to seeing some of these evolving teams, I think I'll call them, improving in their level. Like we saw Sito over time just move on up through the ranks, and Metsu before that, I think, a couple of years ago. They just started off on that lower rung, but just rapidly worked their way up through the tiers until they achieved something pretty impressive. Um, yeah, so I guess that leaves us with just looking forward to those matches. Remember, you can go to the clan base site to check them out, or go to our Facebook pages, etc. Now, any other words on those games coming ahead? Or do you think we said
Well,
everything?
I could have talked about the maps we might expect to see tomorrow, I guess.
Well, we'll talk about that tomorrow, I think. But
All right, we can.
quickly, what maps do you think?
No, we'll keep it a secret until tomorrow.
Secret. We'll get
Secret.
excited about that. Hoping to see any maps in particular, Vor?
Well, I'm always hoping to see Hidden Fortress, and I think there is a good chance we could see that tomorrow.
Good. I'm excited. I like a bit of Hidden Fortress. I want to see some Terminus played though.
Yeah, we've yet to
Some
see
teams
that.
pick that. Yeah.
We didn't see it in any of the qualifiers we covered. Did we miss a qualifier or
We missed one qualifier, but I don't think they played it in that either.
no? Oh, no, they didn't. They played Fortress Purgatory and Grim Dungeons.
Anyway,
So no one picked it in the qualifiers. Will we see it in the actual competition?
please pick it. Anyway, moving on to our Facebook. We did a poll earlier in the week, and I just thought we'd discuss this. Do gaming mice improve your performance? Was the question asked. Vor, what's your answer?
Well, yes, but it's not really that interesting of a question, is it? I'd rather have expanded that question slightly. I'd have gone more with, are gaming mice worth it? Because undoubtedly, I think they do increase performance, over a real basic crap mouse you might pick up for a couple of whatever your currency is in your local store. But, whether or not they're worth it, because let's face it, some of these mice are pretty extortionately priced, aren't they?
I think that's what really meant at the question. Didn't word it quite right, but 44 votes for yes, 9 votes for no. 4 people actually voted don't know about
Don't
gaming.
know.
Gaming
Why
voice
respond
improve
then?
your performance. Maybe we shouldn't put that as an option. We should force people to commit. But yeah, that's I commented. Yeah.
One of the answers was quite interesting, wasn't it, Dis? If you were to read through who voted what.
Well, yeah, we can see who voted what. I'm not sure whether anybody else can, but it's fair to say that NVC, with his great experience of testing a lot of mice, doesn't believe that gaming mice really improve your performance.
Well, if he says that, then I think it's something to take seriously because he's probably used every single mouse known to man.
That is true. But I mean, it really is the kind of debate where, as you say, it's more about what kind of advantage you get. But then we could say, for example, those old Microsoft mice that everybody likes to use, they're not really gaming mice, are they? And yet a lot of the pros choose to use them. So do gaming mice really improve your performance, or is it just getting a mouse that's a bit more consistent, let's say?
Probably, but I think some of the sensors you see on gaming mice are certainly far superior in terms of actual performance, which you can actually measure as a proper value, things like malfunction rates and things like that. They are superior to standard mice, aren't they? It's fair to say. Whether or not they actually improve your performance, maybe that is, I guess, debatable, but I think they do.
I think it's safe to say the new generation of gaming mice have been quite revolutionary when it comes to feel and precision. In around 2005 to 2006, we had some incredibly awful mice released, and the target consumers for those products were gamers. Manufacturers like Razer put more effort into things like trying to increase DPI and introducing laser technology instead of developing a precise sensor, comfortable shape.
A long post,
It is a
but
long
it's good.
post. Yeah, well, we could just say go to the Facebook and read it. That would be a good way of stealing people.
Is it fair to
onto
say
the
there's
Facebook.
always something happening on the Level Up TV Facebook disc?
It
Not that I
is
use
fair to
Facebook,
say
but
that. Well,
if you do use it,
maybe you should use it. Yeah, go to facebook.com/level up TV. You can see a beautiful picture of some clouds here that I took on just when I was out. This is British skyline here. And I think it's an impressive view. Just to go and look at that picture alone, I mean, I wouldn't bother looking at anything else. But yeah, a few posts, and you can keep in touch with us there.
got a good question in chat, Dis,
Yep.
which is something we could have actually asked for. It's questions in chat about clan-based EuroCup and the upcoming season. So the question is from Kvek. Guys, tell me what 2 to 3 teams do you see as underdogs that can win it, and why?
Yeah, interesting. Well, who do you think for? if I look at some of the teams involved, let's just go to the rankings page.
Well, underdogs, obviously, that can win it. It's probably a stretch that they can actually win it, but
Can I make a
in terms
call
of
before
underdogs,
you do?
well, let me just say underdogs that can do well rather than win it, because I don't think any of the underdogs can win it. But Plan B, I think they can get to the knockouts, and they're underdogs having come from the qualifiers. Lemmings Effect, I think they potentially could qualify.
Okay.
And underdogs again, low fly. I mean, they come from the qualifier; they have to count as an underdog, right? And
Yeah.
yeah, I could see them in the knockout stages.
So the two bottom teams listed there in the group. I'm going to say that in a sense, I mean, it's in Group A, it's a bit more difficult, but a lot of people underestimate play. So I'd kind of consider them as a an underdog. They have come up from the Open Cup, so recently, and yeah, I'd consider play as an underdog in a sense. Although,
Despite them being a direct invite.
yeah, despite them being a direct invite, nobody really talks about them too much. And yet, when we see performances over the last couple of seasons, they've just been steadily improving and becoming more of a threat. And they have had some excellent games against the absolute top teams. So I see them as a threat, and I know they will prepare and practice effectively and have good strategies and individual play that's pretty impressive. So they'd be sort of my Group A underdog, although obviously that group's I mean, it's not necessarily an underdog, is it? But that's what I'd say. What do you think, Vor?
Well, I agree. I mean, they are a very good team, and as you say, their improvement rate has been nothing short of unbelievably impressive, to be honest. I mean, they actually worked their way up from a lower division, didn't they? They were Open Cup, and wasn't there another competition they were in a lower division of as well? Was it Hock?
House of Quake League. They
Yep.
might very well have been Division 2 there, yeah.
And then I don't think they were happy initially being put in there. They'd have rather have started top division, but they proved that they certainly belong at the top level of play, and now they could actually show some really good stuff in EuroCup. You could certainly see them in the knockout stages. It wouldn't be a surprise, I don't think.
No, I don't think it would be. So they would be kind of our. I'd agree with Vor and the other group as well. Gentleman Club looked quite interesting as well. So we'll see about that on the underdogs. Why has no one ever seen Vor? That's a
'Cause
question.
they haven't.
Legitimate question. No, nobody's ever seen him.
Nobody in the world.
Not
yeah.
even on. We're not talking about on the internet. We're talking about ever. He just evolved from
Something.
mold in his room on the computer. There you go. Biggest possible upsets. Any upsets you think could possibly occur, Vor? I mean, we could see perhaps Unknown not perform quite as well as everybody is maybe predicting them to perform. That would be kind of an upset, I guess. If they actually, when you look at the lineup, you kind of think they shouldn't drop a map in theory, right? So that could be an upset in itself if they drop some maps. But this is all just on paper, and it never works out like that. What would you say, Vor? Any upsets you could
I think
predict?
potential upsets are a team like either Cito or Action failing to qualify out of the group. That's the only real, major upsets I could see even potentially happening. I don't necessarily think they will. It's just, if you're actually looking for something that you'd class as an upset, then that's all I can really come up with.
Can you rank in terms of what you think is strongest to weakest? I mean, in all honesty, that's probably going into a bit too much detail. It'd be quite difficult to do it as well, having not seen them for a few months fully playing.
Yeah, I don't keep track of who does well or who does badly in practices. I only look at the competitions. So, a lot of what's said is relevant based on what we've seen in previous competitions, but might not necessarily be totally up to date because, us ourselves, we're not playing practices anymore. So we kind of lose touch with
The practice
current
scene,
strengths.
I guess.
Yeah. Like who's beating who in practices. We're not really aware of that as much as we would have been in the past. But you know, based on actual what we've seen from teams previously, then we're pretty accurate with what we're saying, I think.
Who do you think won't advance from the groups definitely, Vor? Out of that line, if I just go back to the groups again.
For me, I don't think Mammoth will qualify. I don't think Skywalkers will, and I don't think Gentleman Club or Team CZE will. Which that's a harder call to say that Team CZE definitely won't. I mean, I think they have a good lineup,
with Chrissa.
but yeah, and with Krista exactly, that's a very strong team. I think I just feel fairly comfortable saying they won't.
You got a feeling in the bottom of your belly
Yeah,
telling you that.
but we'll see.
We'll see.
I could be totally wrong. I'd rather make some predictions that are wrong than rather not make any at all.
Yeah. You got some bottle, Vor. Come in here telling us who's going to not qualify. The cheek of it. I hope all their team, those players of those teams, are watching now and they're writing you on a little list about get revenge.
Well,
Get
if they
back
are
or
listening to this,
raging.
they can use it as motivation to prove me wrong.
Yeah, and
if they care to.
you'd be very happy for them to prove you wrong, right?
Yeah, definitely.
I wouldn't, but
No, I would.
okay.
Because then we'll see something pretty special, won't we? If some of the unexpected teams that I've said, won't go far in the competition, if they suddenly pull out some amazing games, we'll be certainly impressed having seen that.
Yeah.
That's what we want to see. Is we don't want to see
No,
the
yeah.
teams everyone expects to win just win it. It's easy to say, oh, unknown, they're going to win it. I don't want them to win it. I want someone to beat them because that will be interesting.
Yeah, we want one of the qualifying teams to win it. That would really prove it to the admins they got it wrong.
Yeah, that'd be a
That's
real
the
up the yours to the admin.
Okay, but you guys seem too overconfident that Unknown will win.
I honestly
Kevik
don't.
thinks.
Unknown aren't my favourites to win it. My favourites to win the competition, I believe I said on the previous show we did, my favourites to win it are Deliberate Murder.
You did. And I said
but I
Sito.
consider it. Yeah, you said Sito.
So-
I do consider, Deliberate Murder a risky prediction because as well as they usually play, I'd say 95% of the time they're playing really well, but they do have the occasional game where they don't look at their best and they lose. And sometimes they lose quite significantly.
Dimitri not too confident about their performance at the moment. Uh-oh.
Well, that's a
Damn it.
shame because, in the previous competitions we've covered, Sito, they've been, one of the teams that are well up there. Good team to watch. They sometimes have weaker games, but that just makes things more interesting when games go to third maps and things like that. So hopefully we do see them play at their best.
Who are in Unknown is a question for. Who are they going to be their star team?
Gerpa told us, didn't he? He said it would be
Gerpa wins Lincoln.
himself wins Lincoln and someone else. Who was it?
Was it Sparty?
Was it?
Am I right?
Don't know.
Let's look at their squad then.
He did say who he expected the lineup to be. I just can't remember who he said the fourth would be.
Yeah.
Hazard.
Yeah,
Hazard, wasn't it?
Yeah, it might have been, yeah.
Yeah.
Either way, they're a strong lineup on paper. I don't think necessarily we're saying they win, as we predicted totally different teams, but on paper I think they're potentially stronger. They got the most what you'd consider world-class players playing for them.
Well, Dimitri's just said what Sito's team are going to be in chat. It's going to be himself, Zyrinx, Dibby and Q50, and that means they're no longer using Medixa, I guess, who we saw playing for them in previous competitions. And on paper, you'd say that's a stronger lineup than what we've seen from them. But if he says they're not playing well at the moment, that could be problematic early on in the group stage. And until they're back to the level you'd expect to see them playing at, we may see some upsets involving them.
It was always their teamwork and their ability to gel. They were quality players, but gel together in a team. They weren't just star players running around FFAing it like some teams have been in the past. That actually put them that bar high.
Well, they're not like Fnatic used to be, let's say.
Yeah, but then Fnatic did win. So.
Well, they did lose as well.
Yeah,
Four
they did to
Kings,
Four
remember
Kings.
that?
Four Kings a little
Prisa
bit
on
more.
DM7.
Well, this goes back to a little discussion that people were having on ES Reality the other day. I saw Yuvor talking about how TDM is just aim, and yet somehow Four Kings beat Fnatic.
Well, exactly. If the game was all aim, then Fnatic would have won every game they played comfortably and easily. And they didn't. We saw
And
that they
and then
didn't.
the decider was on
The,
Retribution, one of the
yeah,
most
which
aimed
is
maps in the history of the
exactly.
game.
And what did
Well,
we
thought to
see?
be.
We saw the final couple of minutes where Chrissa just dismantled Fnatic.
He
And, Chris has got good aim, but you wouldn't put him at the same level of aim as Sturmy or Lincoln.
or Deus
Well,
or
Deus, yeah, exactly. But he
yeah.
took them apart. He won that game right at the end. It was an amazing game. You can go and check it out on the VODs if you want. And now that was the end of Fnatic, pretty much, wasn't it? I don't
It
think they played
was.
much after that.
No, I would quit if I was them. Just terrible. Right, so yeah, I think that's all the questions from the chat for now. This is only supposed to be a pretty short show, just previewing what's ahead. So if we just go back on the screen to the matches and remind everybody else of what we'll be doing this week. So tomorrow at 21 CEST at the moment is scheduled Action versus Low. On Wednesday we got two games, Sky versus Unknown and Ellie versus GC. We might have to pick between the two, but hopefully they'll be spaced apart so we can cover both. And then on Sunday, Play vs Sito, Caesar Lee vs 102. We'll have to pick between the two. Vor would say Play vs Sito at the moment, I would imagine.
Yeah.
And then next Monday, Mammoth versus Plan B. That's on its own at the moment. So should be a lot of games we're able to cover this coming week. And then I'd imagine we do another show every week we can, previewing what other games we'll be covering, just talking about them a little bit.
Yeah, we'll talk about the previous week as well, because we certainly won't probably seen every game, but we can just have a look at what has been played, have a look at the impact it's had on the standings, although standings after 1 week of play generally don't mean too much.
Yeah, so we'll keep updated and just try and, I guess, level up our game. Pardon the pun.
Oh, I get
Right?
it. Yeah, I get it.
Anyway, so just before we go, let's do the little bit of a social begging that I do. Sign up to our Facebook page /LevelUpTV. There's 821 people have liked it at the moment, so join that crew of people that have liked it. Follow us on Twitter @LevelUpTV. As you can see there, plenty of brilliant tweets alerting you of when we're going live, etc. And then subscribe to our YouTube channel. Loads of videos. Just put up some great videos the other day that DDK did, and he shared with the Level Up TV. As you can see, his logo, the Level Up logo, etc., was on them. So his dual theory, interesting video. That very interesting, showing his great insight. And then an analysis, which I find actually even more interesting because he's analysing the game as it's played out. Obviously, a replay. Talking through the steps that a player makes. So it's worth going and watching them and subscribing to our channel, of course, so you're alerted when we have new videos up. But we now have something like 700 odd videos up to browse through. Not bad.
Yeah, plenty to keep you entertained, I'm sure.
Yeah. I even stuck up the London Olympics national anthem for the British team that I went and go and see at Wembley.
Is it being sung by Jack England?
It was being sung passionately by Jack England. And then, of course, our Twitch channel. Well, there's some chat. As you can see, you're all famous now. Click the follow button. You're all here. Click that follow button, please. And you'll be alerted, obviously, when we go live. We've got 1,286 followers at the moment with our 1 million views.
I might run a competition soon as well. I haven't announced this yet.
Oh, yeah, a competition.
Prize is a AAA game title that I have to give away. No, it is.
Okay.
You shouldn't laugh. It's a good game. I'm just not going to say what game it is yet.
A triple A? What do you mean by that, for?
As in, proper top title. It's not some
They've
cheap
spent
game
money
or
on
anything.
it, developing it. It's not a free budget game.
No, it's not.
Free budget game? How's that work?
Well, it's free, as in I got it for free, but it is a top game.
Wow. So Vor has
Just need to think of some way to give it away.
some way to give it away. So maybe we could ask people to come up with ways to give it away.
Well, you could do, but I
And
might
then
not
just
actually
choose
read
your
any
own.
of them.
But yeah, okay. So we've got a competition coming up. What? Maybe when?
Maybe I don't know. It
Next
could be
week,
tomorrow or
maybe
Wednesday
tomorrow.
or Sunday.
Basically, we could just tease this out forever now, and people have to watch every time we stream.
Yep, it's a good game as well. It's not. I guess the problem is because we're doing a Quake stream. Obviously, it might be a game that a lot of Quake players aren't that interested in, but some of you might be interested in it, and it is a good game.
Would it give it away if you said the genre?
Turn-based. strategy.
Turn-based strategy. Interesting, interesting. Well, okay. The Sims.
It's not The Sims. I wouldn't even give that away if I had a
would
free
love.
copy of it.
Yeah.
I would just get rid of it.
No, no. You'd give it to me. I love The Sims. That's a
It's not
brilliant game.
XCOM, but it's related to XCOM.
Look, you're giving it away now. Look.
Yeah, someone's already guessed it, but I won't say who.
Right. Tu- Tune in to every stream we ever do again to find out what it is and to win it in some way, and we'll post it to you.
Post it.
Well,
you better have a Steam account if you want it.
Steam account it to you. You can set one up easy. We should, yeah. We'll get loads of new Steam accounts. He'll post it to you on Steam, a free game. So look forward to that one. But until then, until tomorrow, join us tomorrow for the TDM. I guess it's time to say goodbye, Vor.
It is indeed. Goodbye, everyone, and make sure you join us tomorrow.
Goodbye. Nottig gets the mega. He's coming up behind. Is he going to get the frag? There's only 15 seconds left in this second overtime. He does get the frag with the rocket launcher. You give away so many kills, and the gap. This Raw has moved in and absolutely dominated them. Look at that. Let's start off with a little rundown of the map layout.
Yeah, just a little general tour of the map, I guess this. So here we are at the Red Armor.
Are you excited for?
Hell yes, this. First time seeing these maps, what's not to be excited about, eh?